In this mini-series, I'm going to be showing you 3 different ways that you can profit from live sports betting. The first is going to be arbitrage betting, the second, middling, and the third is going to be plus EV or plus expected value betting. Now, when it comes to arbitrage betting, the concept is quite simple. The execution, on the other hand, can be a little bit tricky. What you're doing with arbitrage is you are pinning multiple sports books against each other, covering all outcomes of an event in such a way that you, the sports bettor, turns a profit. This essentially means that you're becoming the middleman of the sports books gambling against each other while you get to sit back and reap the rewards. The simplest way to do this is making sure that the events that you wager on only have 2 possible outcomes, like a spread or a money line. Now, using American odds, I find this to be the simplest way to identify arbs, because if the sum of the 2 outcomes is greater than 0, you have successfully identified an arbitrage opportunity. Let's dive into it. Arbitrage betting is painted as this simple and easy thing, but the reality of it is that they're not just popping up in your face all day long where you're just printing money. You have to be extremely disciplined with your approach. You have a casino at your fingertips. So waiting for these can sometimes be a little bit cumbersome and can test you for sure. So you want to eliminate as much as possible any human errors and have a disciplined money management approach to finding these and, of course, betting on them. Because when you do find them, you tend to have a very small amount of time to be able to actually pull the trigger and bet on them. So I'm going to teach you how to find them here using the Pinnacle Arbitrage Calculator, which is a great tool. It's not something you want to be using long term. It's something that you use out of the gate to practice and get comfortable with. And then once you're able to start actually betting on sports books, you need to make these calculations on your own and you need to make them really quickly. So using American odds, if the sum of the 2 outcomes is greater than 0, we have found an arb. So typically speaking, on any given line, you're going to see minus 110 on both sides. And if we staked $1,000 in this example here, you are going to see that we actually don't have a profit, which the Pinnacle calculator shows us here. If we bet both sides of this, every single time we did that for $1,000, we would be losing $91 each time. Now, in this example, I'm going to switch the hedge odds to plus 110. And what you will see here with minus 110 and plus 110 is that the American odds now equal 0. This means that we have a fair bet, or maybe one of the 2 sides has theoretical value, but overall the odds combined are fair. And you can see that here. Obviously, I didn't get it right to 0.00, but we just have essentially no loss here. Now, as soon as I change one of the odds a little bit higher, we have now created an arb, and minus 110 and plus 115, if you add them up, we have positive 5, which means we have now identified an arb. So in this example, I had staked $1,000 on the minus 110 side. I didn't adjust that at all, but it tells you exactly how much to wager on the hedge out, and you can see that because we've identified an arb, we're generating $21 of profit. Now, there's a whole bunch of different ways that you want to stake your wagers, and I would say that whenever you're entering something like this here, the 887.91, you are risking losing your account, because why would someone ever wager such a precise amount on a game unless they are arbitrage betting? So you have to make a decision, and I usually would like to use round numbers here. So if I saw this example, I might bet 900 instead of 887, where I'm going to yield more profit on one of the 2 sides as a result of it. But the other thing you can always do is just free roll one side. And the easiest way to do that with American odds is to lay the juice. So you wager the amount that the odds actually indicate. So odds of minus 110, you wager $110. And then on the plus 115 side, I wouldn't wager 97.67. I'd wager $100, essentially free rolling one of the 2 sides, breaking even if one side wins and generating a small profit if the other side wins. Now, when you're live betting, an arb this small isn't worth taking, in my opinion, because you might miss out if the odds change on one of the 2 sides. And I'm only yielding $2.32 of profit for essentially every $200 wagered. So that doesn't excite me. I would want to look for bigger odds, and it's easiest to find them when they're plus money on both sides. So you might see an example a little bit more commonly towards the end of a game. And what you want to do when you're arbitrage betting is shorten the game. So if I'm in the first quarter of a basketball game, first period of a hockey game, the list goes on and on, I probably don't want to look too much towards the end of the game. I'd rather look at the end of the first period, the end of the first quarter. And that's where you can find some arbs that are going to close out a little bit quicker as well. One of the benefits of doing this live is that you have a lot of opportunities to wager in-game and approach the end of those closest to events, the end of the first quarter, the end of the half, etc. So I like to look for arbs that are a little bit bigger, that generate a little bit more profit. And in an example like this, again, I wouldn't wager specific amounts, but I would try to get as much money down on both sides of these as possible, and I would probably just wager an equal amount, something like 100 each side, 500 each side, 1,000 each side, and so on and so forth. Now, arbitrage betting seems to be all over social media as this infinite money-making glitch. But the reality is there's a lot of risks of arbitrage betting, especially when you do it live. The first risk is that sportsbooks can identify when these opportunities are available pregame, and as a result of it, they can see that you just wagered on one of them, which can quickly limit your account. That's one of the nice things about doing them live. Those opportunities are harder to identify. But when you're live betting, odds change quickly. And because of that, if you didn't get out of one of the two sides of an arbitrage opportunity, that leaves you in a position of potential risk where you get flipped upside down, only having one side of the game fully exposed to that side losing. Because of this, losing one side of a bet when you're picking up a few dollars here and there can lead to significant losses when one of these opportunities inevitably does happen to you. So my biggest recommendation to you with arbitrage betting is make sure you do it at timeouts and really start small to get comfortable with how it all works for you.